for the week of January 8th, 2018. Still peculiar to say, haven't gotten used to it yet. I'm your host today, me, Dalsson, because as you may have noticed, we are Saine. So,
yeah.
Now I know that it's unusual to have Thel start, because usually Saine would start, but I think we should go right into games and movies we've enjoyed this week. So let's have Thel start with that. What have you been doing up today, Thel?
All right. Well, I'm gonna start out first. First, I'm gonna say, we're gonna do games and movies, and then we're gonna move on to like the stuff that is going on. We're gonna do the stuff we've done, and then the stuff we've heard. What I've been doing this week, I played a little bit of video, not very much, just a little bit. The new game that I played this week, we've talked about it a couple times in the podcast, was Streets of Rogue. I kind of love this game. There are a lot of games I just end up really loving. Streets of Rogue is definitely one of them. It's like if Hotline Miami had mechanics. Someone thought, maybe if I took everything that Hotline Miami is and added more stuff in it and make it like a sort of roguelike open world game, it'd be a good idea. And most
now hold on, I wouldn't say that it's open world.
Well, yeah, okay, it's not. It's got like stages.
It's certainly level based.
It's like open world within the levels that you get. You can do pretty much everything. All of the little characters and people inside interact with each other in really interesting ways. Each of the characters you play.
It's oh god, what's the word for that? It's not open world, but it's completely emergent. It's all emergent gameplay.
And that's really the word that I meant. There is you can basically do anything you want someone dead. What you can do is you can piss him off, run him around a little bit, have him accidentally shoot a cop, and then the cops come after him and beat the crap out of him. It's great. You can bust into things, hack things, and completely change the game that way if you play the hacking character, or make your own character that can hack things.
Yeah, making your own character is pretty fun.
Yeah. I feel like he gives you a lot of ability to be a little overpowered. But, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point. It's a roguelike, or it's close. It's pretty close to a true roguelike, but it has meta progression in the form of chicken nuggets, which you. Yeah. It's not really meta progression. You don't progress on. Like you don't start with better shit. You progress by unlocking new items. So kind of more like Isaac. You always start with a blank slate, but you can unlock new stuff that you can acquire in the game.
Like new perks when you level up.
Which is it's pretty neat.
And yeah, as far as like the leveling up system goes, it's basically like really close to just a pure roguelike. It's got that whole you level up, you get a perk thing. It's got that whole deal. You played the Doom roguelike, same deal. But it is definitely a roguelike just because of the fact that it's not like tile based at all. It's very action based. Again, it's a lot.
Very reminiscent of Hotline
Miami. It's fast and fun. The gun, you shoot things. It's like a real fast twin stick.
Sometimes
shooter.
You don't shoot things. Sometimes you're a gorilla and you just beat the hell out of people. Sometimes you're a vampire living in the middle of a lake and you just pop out and start throwing hands with the closest dude.
Yeah. I mean, that's honestly been my most of what I've been playing. Like getting a gun is just a little bit too much of a hassle, so I just punch everyone. Because fuck it.
Yeah, no, melee weapons are pretty decent in that game.
Yeah. Like Hotline Miami? Like Hotline Miami. It's great. It's a lot of fun. If you liked Hotline Miami but wished, I wish there was, like, mechanics in this game that I could fuck with. This game is for you. It's so good. So very good. So very good. And next thing, I think that's all the, like, games that I played that, like, are new. I played a little bit of X3 again because I was like, I want to play me some space video
Well, I don't
game.
think we've ever talked about X3, and the reason you wanted to play some space video game is because of one of our actual exciting news stories today. I'm sure.
Oh boy, I'm gonna fucking talk
So
shit
why?
out of
But why don't you describe X3? Because I don't.
Alright,
I've never
so-
played, or I played it once, but I remember it being really shitty, and I remember you telling me that they patched a lot of the really shitty parts.
Okay, so here's the thing. You might have played it way back, unless you're talking about X Rebirth, which is a completely different game.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so to stop the confusion, first off, the X series is this game of like super big space sims where all of everything is really interconnected. It's Eve Offline, but with fun combat. It's all of these ships are going to all of these places. You got all these NPCs hauling all of this stuff, killing all of these people, and directly affecting all of the world. Like, you can blow up a freighter that's going to a certain station, and that certain station will lose, production because they didn't get their supply of whatever the hell they needed to make their thing, and then that thing will just go out of business and be completely defunct. You blew something up. It's very much that big emergent gameplay, and it's completely single player. X3 Birth came out in like 2011 or something. It came out and everyone hated it. Absolutely everyone hated it. People who had played the X games before because it cut down a lot of the really interesting stuff that I just mentioned, and people who had never played an X game because it was trash and no one could run it even on like super. So yeah, X3 is not that game. X3 was the game that came before it, and it's a lot of fun. You get to do a lot of things. There are multiple different starting points. What I do every time I like pick this game up, which I played it off and on for fucking shit ton of years, just because I've been on this quest to find the perfect space sim, and the X games have come damn close. The game is incredibly fun. It can be either space truckers like
Space
Elite
Truck
Dangerous,
Simulator.
Yeah, Space Truck Simulator, Elite Dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It can be that. It can also have a lot of combat stuff to do depending on how you start. The best way to describe this game is really to go in the first way that I played this game. When I first played this game, I was really on the kick where I needed to play something with space in it. I needed a big old sandbox world where I could be a spaceman and spaceship and space stuff. So I got this game. I heard it was like some space game with space stuff in it. Launched it up. I looked at all the options, the people you could play as. It looked like they had all these little stories and stuff. And I thought, is there a way that I could just play in the open world? The answer was yes. There is, in fact, a way that you can just play in the open world. I clicked on that button. I started playing in the open world. First thing I did was I got a little guy telling me he could teach me how to fly, the basics of how to control your ship.
Nice.
I do that, and it's just like, all right, bitch, figure it out. Have fun. Go ahead, go. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I had to brute force my way into figuring out what the hell I was. Wasn't smart and did the smart thing and stopped the game and decided to play as one of these guys that sort of gives me like something to do in the beginning, or like a ship that can do things. Right. No, I didn't think of that. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but that's definitely what I should do. Instead, what I did was I dicked around until I could figure out what I was supposed to do. Because in the game, when you go out into like the I don't recommend anyone play this way as just like the free roaming character, because like there are missions that you can get on stations. They're little like icons. You can go to a station, you can get a mission, and you'll find out that you can take any of these missions. This is where Elite Dangerous does it a little bit better, honestly. You can take any of these missions, but you'll immediately find out, this mission is literally impossible with the ship I have. Not even just like the combat strength of my ship, but I legitimately don't have the right equipment to carry these people.
Right.
Alright, so I need to transport this guy. Alright, I'll just have him come in the cockpit. Alright, you get in the back. You don't have you can't transport that guy. Why not? Because your cargo bay's filled with space, you need a generator for that. How much is that? Way more than I can afford.
I mean, I got a passenger seat right here. Can't he just no?
Yeah, no. Well, and the answer is no. I'm sorry, you don't actually have a passenger seat. You're running in Rinky Dink the ship. Congratulations. All right, I'll just do this combat mission. Okay, fun, dude.
Sure.
Yeah. Protect this outpost. I'll be over here laughing my ass off. All right, what about this economy mission? All right, I need you to haul this entire space station over about two solar systems that way. I don't have the capacity that you do not have the capacity to take an entire space station, my dude. So yeah, definitely start with one of the things, but when you really get into it, and after all this hardship, the game's really fun. Once you learn everything, the game is really fun. And Dalsson, you had a lot of problems with Elite Dangerous, yeah?
Yes.
Oh,
I hated Elite Dangerous.
You hated Elite Dangerous.
It was almost it was the main gripe I had was that it was borderline impossible to do anything with your friends. It may as well have been a single player game.
Oh yeah, and that's a big problem I have with Elite Dangerous. I don't think they fixed that. Well, okay, they have fixed that in the Horizons update, but I don't want to buy that DLC. And I think you would have to buy the DLC too, like if you wanted to do anything. And I feel like you're so put off with Elite Dangerous, it's not even worth it.
Yeah, why would I want to?
Because you can even the ship I own has 2 cockpit seats to fly around.
In Elite Dangerous?
The thing in Elite Dangerous is it is very clear what things you can do and what things you cannot do.
I mean, it's not though. Because I took a mission one time, the 3 of us were playing together, and I took a mission, and it was just bring this place to this place, and then it's like halfway through bringing it, I get interdicted by a fleet of 40 ships, each one of them individually better than the one I have. So it's like, also, okay, well, that's I guess I'm not completing this mission.
One of the things you can do is you can avoid interdiction pretty easily. Especially if these are mission people, and the way you're describing it, it sounds like you got raided by some fucking NPC pirates or some player character assholes.
Right. Yeah. But probably not player character assholes, because there's no such thing. They don't exist except for in space stations.
They've tried really hard to give players stuff to do, especially with the newest update to the Horizons. There's these, space aliens that come out that players can work together to stop.
Right.
Which is nice. I'm glad that they're trying to, because when Elite Dangerous, when we played it, it was Horizons had just come out or something, and we were all like, "Wow, this is an online game." There are other people. I haven't seen another person except for you guys, and we had to work our asses off to find each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Another thing that I really like about X3 that completely outside of Elite Dangerous is the fact that you have a heck of a lot of ability to influence the world. One thing you can do in Elite Dangerous is you can buy a bunch of different ships. You can do that in X3 too, but the difference is what you can do in X3 is you can set the ship's autopilot, the other ship that you own, to go and trade for you while you're dicking around. In fact, you can do this with multiple ships. You can have a whole setup solar system that's been defunct and there's nothing in it. Nothing's going on here. There's a bunch of trash floating around. You can build a bunch of stations here and make it a big old trading hub with just all the ships that you have going from point A to point B. You can do all this crap in X3.
Well, that's pretty neat, but what if one of your ships gets attacked by a pirate?
Well, one thing that you can do is you can suit them up, and make sure that they're ready for a pirate attack, and you could make them run away as fast as what?
On autopilot?
Yeah, on autopilot. Because they can still do combat on autopilot. In fact, one of the things you can do if you're running around doing combat missions is you can have all of your ships follow you and help you with the combat missions.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
So, if a combat mission is really hard, you can just have your ships run around and blow stuff up.
It would make more sense if you could hire people to run a fleet instead of just setting autopilot on ships, though.
You can also do that. Yeah, you can hire mercenaries.
Oh. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, X3 is great.
It's nifty.
Yeah, lots of stuff you can do and a lot of ways you can work with.
Right.
It's really great, and I've loved it off and on. The game that Dalson's probably thinking about is X Rebirth. When it came out, you could only get into one ship the entire game, which was a huge downer for X fans. They like their multiple ships, and I completely understand why. That was a real bad mistake on X Rebirth's part. One of the things is you had like this co-pilot who everyone hated. All of like the emergent gameplay wasn't there. It was all very story based. Think the difference between Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas, but bigger and worser. Just so much worse.
Yeah, like...
Oh, it was a horrible madhouse.
Yeah, I mean, Fallout 4 was
But
kind of dumbed down, but it was still fun to play.
They have actively been trying to make this game better from the beginning. They're in like 4.0. They have reworked the game entirely 4 times.
X3?
And I'm a little interested to give it a try. I don't know. Maybe they fixed a bunch of the stuff. I could.
Or X Rebirth.
I almost want to see.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway, about it, it's gone from like entirely everyone hates it to like half of the people are like, oh yeah, it's a great space sim, or I hate it because it's a lot worse than the other X game.
Right.
So, yeah. X3, great game. X Rebirth, I don't know what to tell you, man. Give it a shot.
Okay.
So, now, I have seen a couple movies.
Go on.
I watched 2 movies. Both of them were animated. I watched the movie that was going to win, that is absolutely going to win the Oscar for Best Animated Movie.
Okay.
Excuse me. And I also watched the movie that should win the Oscar for Best Animated.
So which one are you going to talk about first?
I'm going to start with the latter, just because of the fact that that's what I sort of watched first. The first movie I saw was Your Name. A few years ago, I saw a movie that I absolutely adored, that coming out of a few years ago, I'm really sad it sort of has faded.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hate that. It was a movie called The Tale of Princess Kaguya.
Okay.
It was one of the Studio Ghibli movies, like right after The Wind Rises. They came out with that, and it was a beautiful, incredibly affecting film.
Right.
It was one of the saddest films I've ever seen. And I loved it so very much. Dalsson, to put this in to completely put this in context, like, for you, not necessarily for the audience, but for you specifically, this was my favorite movie of that year, and that was the year that Song of the Sea came out.
Really?
This was a goddamn incredible movie. Also, I can't hear you. You are muted for me.
Really? Okay, well,
yeah.
I'm loud on the podcast. I'm definitely watching my mic audio on the podcast, so I don't really know how that happened. But okay, go on.
Oh yeah, no, you should be fine on the podcast just because of the fact that like I'm pretty sure the podcast is taking in your mic.
Yeah.
It's
weird.
So yeah, you were just muted on Discord. So yeah, this needless to say, this was a really good movie. The animation was fucking spectacular. It looked goddamn beautiful. And the plot and the story was where it really worked.
Mm-hmm.
It was constantly effective. It used music in a very beautiful way. And it made me cry like a bitch at the end because Jesus fucking Christ. I haven't felt that way with a movie since until I watched Your Name. Princess Kaguya is sort of faded. Really, the only memento we have of Princess Kaguya is it is part of that joke. Those 2 Chinese fucking things that nobody fucking saw, talking about Song of the Sea and Princess Kaguya. Which, needless to say, that really pissed me off because I love Song of the Sea, and I love Princess Kaguya, and I
Right.
would like, yeah. Um, your Sane talked about this last podcast. Your Name is now the most profitable anime movie ever, and
Oh yeah.
it fucking deserves it. I'm so happy that this movie is actually getting the recognition I feel like Princess Kaguya deserves. It it's brought me over the fucking moon. I'm seriously happy. Your Name is goddamn beautiful. Sane said something really weird in the podcast last time. Is one of the things I mentioned was like beautifully animated films get like a little bit extra of a point on my lists. And he was like, I don't know if you watched this movie for the animation. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about. The movie looked gorgeous, goddamn gorgeous. Just to start out, all of the animation was fucking fantastic. I was starstruck by that. But really, yeah, again, really where it falls in and does really, really good is just how fucking affecting the story is. It's
Nice.
beautifully told. It is this
Right.
beautifully, beautifully told story, beautifully animated movie, incredibly acted. I didn't watch the dub. I watched the
Of course.
subversion. So me and Sane have a little bit of influences on that, but I'm sure it's the same story and it has the same beats and same rhythm. So it was probably exactly as affecting. Um, it was incredible. Goddamn incredible. I loved it. It deserves to get all of the shit that it's not going to. Because of the second movie I saw this year, Coco. Don't
Coco.
get me wrong, Coco was really, really good. And Coco was also beautiful. And I'm not even just talking about the same stuff that everyone else has been talking about. Like the world of the Land of the Dead is gorgeous, yes. But what I'm talking about is the world of the living surprised me. Let me explain why. This is a Disney movie, yeah? This is a
Yeah.
Disney movie. You expect a certain aesthetic with Disney movies, specifically in the character design. Everyone goes off saying, "Oh, these fucking Disney characters look the same. They all look the exact fucking same." Not in this goddamn movie. That was one of the things I really loved.
People only started saying that when Frozen came out, and Frozen
Oh.
looked a little bit like Tangled, slightly.
Oh yeah.
That was like
But here's
when
the thing.
people started saying that.
Disney does have that, the big eye, sort of angular face for the men and sort of round face for the women, and it does look really similar. And I suppose that really, really, really is shown off in this movie because, like, you go into this movie, the title character of this movie, Coco, who is not the main character. Spoilers for 3 seconds into the movie. The title character, Mama Coco, and also the main character's grandma. These look like your goddamn aunts. They look like your goddamn grandma. These people are like old and wrinkly, and they do not look like pretty Disney people. And I love it. It's beautiful. And the world that they inhabit does not look like this pretty Disney world. It's a little bit dirty, it's a little bit dusty. It's got some stuff going on, but still does got that whole homey thing. Really
Right.
nice. Honestly, I loved the stuff in the real world more than I loved the stuff outside of it. Visually, I mean. When you did get to the Land of the Dead, everyone did sort of turn into those, Disney people because they were skeletons.
Okay, that's fair.
Very smooth faces. And plot-wise, one of the things that I was really surprised, the man who directed Up was the guy who did, what was it? The one that it came out like 2 years ago. Crap. Inside Out. That was it.
Okay.
The guy who did Up also did Inside Out. I was surprised to find that he did not do this movie because of how incredibly similar the plots to these movies are. It's one of those Avatar things where you could replace like the old man in Up with the little kid in this,
right,
for almost all of the beats of the plot. That doesn't make it a bad movie. Up's really good, and again, like it's not so much like what the beats are, but how they are done. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's and everything was executed really, really, really well. But it was. I was thinking, this is Up. This is basically exactly what happened in Up. But yeah, um, very very good. I loved all of the beats. All of the twists were nice. Some of them were very very callable. Like Sane mentioned, there was one. It's like, yeah, I saw that coming a mile away. I also saw it's like the instant I saw like a painting of this dude, I was like, I know where this is fucking going. You can't fool me there, Don Bluth. I've seen your character designs before. I know what that big chin means.
Oh, he's evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said Don Bluth and Big Chin. Now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what the fuck is up.
Yeah, I know what the fuck is up. Can't put this one past me. I'm too smart for you. There were some things that they did put past me that they sort of became more obvious as like it went on.
As time goes on, but that's
yeah.
I don't know, things becoming more and more callable as time goes on.
Yeah.
That's
It started out really slow and then it sort of built up, but not in a way that you would sort of expect this to be the case. And then eventually it got to this, I wonder if, and it's like, oh, hey, it was,
hey, yeah,
the plot rounded itself out. But yeah, Coco was a very good movie.
Which is funny because before you, it was either you or Sane. No, I think Sane gets excited for every fucking animated movie, no matter what.
Oh yeah.
Unless it looks really bad, like
because
you were like
idea from,
they straight up stole the idea from Book of Life, which they did.
Yeah. Like Disney is a horribly evil corporation. Do not get me wrong. But yeah, the thing is, yes, they did steal it, and they did really good with it. They did their own sort of thing with it. They didn't outright steal it, but they stole like the base idea and built off that, which apparently they did do that also with what was it? Inside Out. Like there was a lady who was going to try and sue Disney because they took her idea, and thing is, it was different enough that they got their fucking massive team of mouse lawyers, the strongest goddamn lawyers in the world, to fucking make damn sure that there is nothing legally that anyone could do against them ever. So yeah.
As Disney does.
Yeah, as Disney does. This is the fucking company that changed how copyright law worked so that they could own Mickey Mouse forever and eternity. Yeah. Don't get it twisted. Disney's an evil corporation. But
the movie was good. Okay.
Yeah, but the movie was good.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
Not nearly as good as Your Name. If you had to watch one singular animated movie that came out in 2017, watch Bird Boy. But also, Your Name was really good. I still haven't seen Bird Boy. I really want that. I'm going to talk about
You're
Bird Boy. You're
advocating Bird Boy, and you haven't even seen it.
Let me explain. Like I've said, I've never been blown away by a fucking trailer for a movie.
Fair enough.
And, Bird Boy is Bird Boy is on like the top of my watch list. I'm sitting here like, oh shit, Bird Boy win. Yeah.
Never
so
ever.
Excited for Bird Boy. Your Name was fucking incredible. It's not gonna win anything because no one's kid fucking watches it. I'm gonna talk more about this shit when we actually get to the Oscars. I'm gonna have a whole goddamn 2-hour point where I just like yell at the fucking sky about this when we get to the Oscars. But right now, get ready for Coco to win. If you really like Coco, it's gonna win the Oscar, man. Don't you worry your little head about it.
Of course it is. It's a Disney movie. I didn't see any other movies, so I'm giving it to Coco.
Here's the thing. My kid didn't watch any other like animated movies. I took him to this one when it was like our day. When his mom didn't like have him, so yeah. His mom's on the committee too, and I think they went to see the movie also because like he'd seen the movie before. So like I don't know. It's whatever. It's animated. Yeah, these people don't take this nearly as seriously as you fucking think. The Oscars are a farce. The Oscars are a farce. It's made of people.
The Oscars are people.
I scream in this tiny, tiny little room where no one will ever hear me.
The Oscars are a cookbook.
The Oscars are a cookbook. All right. So let's move on to you. What did you do?
Oh, I didn't do anything. I worked. No, I'm kidding, actually. I've been playing a lot of XCOM 2, which is a game that I got ages ago out of a humble monthly bundle and literally never played until now.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised about that. I thought that you just picked it up again.
No, I had not played it at all. Because,
well.
you were like so sour on it. Like, if
No,
this
I
game
think
can
the
make
game is fucking great. I just make
well, not
more
yeah,
mad
you weren't sour on it. But
Yeah.
the fact that you said that this game made you as mad as it did, you just don't get mad at video games. Period. So.
Yeah.
So, like, I was like, I know I am gonna fucking hate this game. Because when I get mad at a game, I start disliking it. You can get mad at a game and just be like, yeah, oh, this is fucking bullshit. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
So I didn't think I'd like it. And then I played basically a round. I got barely anyways into it, lost all of my soldiers and didn't have enough supplies to get soldiers back. So I was like, okay, I've lost. The game is over and I've wasted 3 hours of my life. And then I played a little bit of Hand of Fate 2, which is good. I haven't really played enough of it to actually say anything about it. But back to XCOM, I decided, well, we'll stream XCOM again. We'll try it. This is without the War of the Chosen DLC. I got a fair way into the game, but eventually the game just got harder and harder and harder. And there were all kinds of new units. I think, revealing codexes as quickly as I did in the game also really fucked me up because codexes started appearing and I didn't pack enough flashbangs for codexes and sectoids basically, and there was just a bunch of bad stuff that was happening in my game, and I kept losing soldiers, and so I had to resupply and waste a lot of supplies, meaning I couldn't get better armor, meaning I kept losing soldiers, and so it was just kind of a cycle. And eventually they were one block away from completing the Avatar project, and there was no way that I could get to one of the missions to counter the Avatar project, so I was like, fuck it. I'll buy War of the Chosen and start over.
Yeah.
And that is when I really started rolling. With the things I'd learned from the last run, I kind of knew what to research, what orders and stuff to do stuff in. I got a couple of tips from my stream people saying like, oh, you should build this facility really fast, that way you can bring 5 or 6 people on a mission instead of just the 4. And having an extra body in there is like so incredible. Having those special units, like, yes, the Lost can come in and start fucking you up, the Chosen can invade your missions and start killing everybody, but having those special units like Templars, for example, in War of the Chosen, are incredible. They can run up, beat a dude's ass, then run back away. If they get kills, they increase their dodge. They can, like, sit there in completely open cover and just negate all attacks. Like, Templars are madmen. The, concealment, which I really had a problem with, is a lot easier to deal with. Because of the Reaper faction. Reapers just basically don't ever get revealed. They have to be standing right next to a dude for them to see them. So you can just send your Reaper around to scout, and then you can see all of the cells, and then you can just bring your Reaper back. Or you could just send your Reaper... One of the problems that I really had all the time was in the timed missions in XCOM 2. You had a certain number of turns, but my soldiers weren't strong enough to kill the things and get to the objective in the turn, so I had to move and shoot every single round, which sometimes got me out of cover, got a lot of soldiers killed. But one of the things you can do with your Reaper is just move them right to the objective, put everyone in Overwatch, then do the objective to reveal yourself. And then you have all the time in the world. You can just cover an Overwatch and pick people off nice and safely, right? Yeah. So that's real great. Also, like, I don't know, people say that War of the Chosen makes the game harder, but I almost feel like it makes it easier. Like, yes, it adds a lot of stuff that makes the game hard in-game, but now that I'm playing it, I feel like, yes, there are things a lot harder in the missions, right? But because I
have all of this stuff
I'm good at tactics-based games. I've always been good at them. I played Fire Emblem all my fucking life. So the in-game parts never were a problem for me. What was the problem was that I just felt like my soldiers were constantly underpowered, and because of the stuff that you can do outside of missions on the geoscape, like the micromanagement, you can do stuff like send your soldiers on extra missions for the rebels and stuff, for the other rebel factions, and you get new researches and new technologies for that, or you like there's new scanning abilities, so like you can scan and just get a free technology and stuff, and I don't think that was there outside of War of the Chosen. So there's just a lot of cool stuff that you can do outside of the game that bulks your soldiers up to be comparable with the aliens. And when you're comparable with the aliens, all you have to do is be good at tactics instead of being so insanely good at tactics and being lucky enough to not get hit often.
Yeah. And honestly, that was what the thing about the game that made me really mad. It's just like, it's luck. It's like, I got fucked over because it was luck. There's nothing you could do about it.
Right.
The dice roll fucked you over, man.
Exactly. And that's how I felt before I got War of the Chosen. But now that I'm playing War of the Chosen instead, it still feels like, yes, sometimes the dice roll can fuck you over. Oh no, I missed the headshot on that Lost, and now my guy is swarmed by fucking zombies, right? Because if I hadn't missed that headshot, I could have taken out 5 in a row. For those of you who don't know, the Lost are a new faction in War of the Chosen that are basically zombies. And if you kill one in one shot, you get an extra action. So you can just take out a bunch of them all at once.
Good.
Yeah, it's pretty nifty. But if you miss or don't do enough damage to kill one, your action's over, just like normal.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes the dice will roll bad, like... Oh, yeah. Like, the Skirmisher faction is a faction of Advent that are basically Advent defectors. So they have Advent technology that they use, but they're defectors. One of the abilities that Skirmisher soldiers have is called Jacksaw or something. I forget what it's called, but it's like a zip. It's the same thing that the Thin do, right? Or the Snake Tits do. They're Snake Tits now. There's no such thing as Thin Men. They pull them to you and then do a melee attack, and that's what the Skirmishers can do. And I one time tried to pull a guy away from killing one of my soldiers with a 97% chance to hit, and he missed. And my soldier died because of that. And I was like, I really want to reload, but I'm not going to. Because that's another thing. I have not once had to reload a turn unless I misclicked. If I misclick, I'm like, okay, I'll reload a turn. But in my first run, I was like, I'm reloading constantly. And I thought it was...
like a fucking CRPG.
Yeah, and I thought that it was just bad luck, but I'm beginning to suspect that maybe I just kind of got better at using cover and tactics and stuff. Like, now I never move into Fog of War. Unless the rest of the enemies are dead and stuff like that. Like, so XCOM is definitely... There's elements of luck to it, as with many tactics-based games, but it's definitely, like, something that you can just get more skilled at.
Yeah.
Inside the missions and out of them, because I also am just kind of know what researches to prioritize. Like magnetic weapons, I've been like smoking missions because I got magnetic weapons really early, and yeah, it took like 30 days to research, delayed all of my other research, but now I do 4 or 5 extra damage on every attack, so I'm one-shotting things instead of 2, you know? So it's...
Yeah. And that, like, can... and, like, one turn, legitimately, not even one turn, but one of your, like, soldiers' turns can completely change
the outcome of the entire
fight.
fight.
Shit goes.
Yeah, like, I remember in one of, like, before I got War of the Chosen, in one of the missions, a, faceless alien monster walked up, one-shot a dude with a crit, and then all 4 of my other soldiers immediately panicked. All 4 of them. And I was like, fuck this. I reloaded, and I shot him from a different angle, killed it, and then I completed the mission without a single loss. So, like, one soldier's turn does completely change how the mission can go. So, having an extra turn or having an extra ability, it's like...
Or having a little extra damage, even.
Yeah, or even just a little extra damage to make sure an enemy dies instead of kills you. It just...
Yeah.
Can completely change the flow of the battle. It's great.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying XCOM 2. I'm probably gonna play it a lot.
Yeah. And I'm sorry for putting you off it, because like I'll never say XCOM makes me mad, but I will never say it's a bad game. It's great. In fact, it's fun as hell.
I didn't think it was bad based on your description. I just thought it was going to make me more mad than it does.
Weird.
And I got a little mad like the first run I was playing it, but in this War of the Chosen,
super mad.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I might have to give War of the Chosen a try at some.
You should. It's not bad. I have the DLC. You could just install it through my family sharing instead of buying it.
You know what? You sure could.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. What else?
Well,
did you do anything else?
I saw Star Wars.
You did see Star Wars.
You and Saine discussed it to death last week, but I have a couple of things to add.
Okay, go ahead.
That thing that happened with Leia, did we say what it was last? We didn't like explicitly describe the scene. But...
we've been trying to avoid spoilers as much as possible.
Right. Well, there was a scene pretty early, so if you've seen it, there was a scene pretty early on in the movie that a lot of people are calling kind of bullshit about something that Leia did, right? And now, I don't think her doing this is bullshit. I think this is, like, very well pre-established. She can do this. This is something that this is an ability that she has. Everybody knows that. I think my problem with that scene was that visually, it just looked really fucking weird. It just... Like the way it was posed, the way it was filmed, something about it just made it look very strange. It would have been better if they, like, had just kind of shown her starting to do it and then cut to a different scene where they were like, oh yeah, she's doing that. Instead of, like, showing the whole process. That made it look strange. Yeah, it made it look silly. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like visually it did look silly, and that's probably why a lot of people are getting really, really mad about it. One of the things that you can say about this movie is that it is a little bit messy. It's kind of weird. It doesn't feel like a big budget Star Wars movie because there's like that thing that's a little, for instance, there's stuff like this that's a little bit kind of silly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit kind of silly and probably could have been done with more precision, which is weird.
Exactly, yeah. You would think that...
Like, I'm surprised
they'd have it down pat.
Disney, the giant evil corporation, fucking would let this happen.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm happy about it. I'm happy they did that, but weird that they would.
Yeah, exactly. It's just feels a little strange.
Yeah.
But then there were like,
I
don't know. I want to kind of address some complaints that people had with it because, like, I didn't get to last time because I hadn't seen it yet. Luke's characterization, the biggest thing that people are complaining about, even if they don't say it, that's what they hate. Because he's not...
No. If they hate it, that's what they're saying. They're gonna fucking...
Because he's not a Jedi. He's not a fucking... straight up Jedi Order ass Jedi. He's just this jaded old man.
Obi-Wan. You know?
Yeah. And he's not.
Yeah.
And like, why did you want him to be a repeat of Obi-Wan? Like, that's boring. Just go watch episode 4. Or Star Wars.
Yeah,
just go watch Star Wars. That's all you gotta do. You want Obi-Wan? Go watch fucking Star Wars. Luke is a different character. It explains in great detail the reason, like, the things that have happened to him and the reasoning behind him being so jaded and disillusioned with the Jedi and the Jedi Order and teachings and whatnot. Like, everything about Luke's characterization just makes sense. It makes sense in the movie, and it's justifiable even without the movie. Like, Luke has lived for, what, 30, 40 years after the events of Star Wars? So, like, yeah, he could change his mind. And he never was, like, super hard dead set in the Jedi ways before. Because he was, like, just some kid. Or, he wasn't some kid. He was some Destiny kid. But he was just some kid that, like, as far as he was concerned, he was just some kid this old Jedi Master was teaching shit to. It's not like he studied at a Jedi temple or anything for years, being brainwashed by the stupid Jedi teachings.
Yeah,
it would make sense.
In Return of the Jedi, though, the best Star Wars original trilogy movie, he came out and was like totally the king of like he was like a Jedi man. I don't know why he wasn't that in this movie. I don't know why Luke.
Well, if you don't know why he wasn't that in this movie, then you didn't watch the movie. Because it explains it. It folds it out clear as fucking day. You don't have to be some movie analyst to know why.
Angry at anything ever. Luke, you know, they ruined Star Wars. It's worse than the prequels. Luke was terrible in this movie. I can't believe they did that to Luke and made him, like, have feelings. He shouldn't have done that. They should have made him have
I have one major chief complaint with this movie that I think a lot of people will agree with me on.
Mm-hmm.
There was a scene in which, and this is very minor spoilers, but there was a scene in which somebody was talking to Kylo Ren, and he wasn't wearing a shirt.
And that was like played off as like a joke, and it was like really weird. That scene got really, really. Like,
that is the only scene in the movie where Adam Driver was not wearing a shirt, and I really feel like they should have had more scenes in the movie with him not wearing a shirt, because that man is built like a tank.
Oh, yeah.
So that I feel like most people can agree with me on that point. He should have just been wearing less shirts.
All right. But yeah, no. One of the things, like, the humor fell really flat. That was one of the things. Like, that was like, you know, one of the points where it's like, can we not do this right now? Hey man, this is a really bad time for me too. I'm not the one making this happen. It's just like, and it just cuts to him like not wearing his shirt. It's like, just because you put something on, and it's like as the scene progresses, it's like this joke just goes completely away in like 3 seconds, and then this is just this really serious scene between you know.
I don't see. I didn't have as much problem with the humor as a lot of people did. I didn't like the obviously made to keep the kids entertained humor.
Yeah.
AKA the Porgs. The Porgs were just kind of like, they were cute, sure. I can't say they weren't cute because they were kind of cute, but anytime they tried to do something like funny, like they tried to do something funny or endearing, it just, that really fell flat because it was like, okay, those little cute things are doing something in the background again. That's, wow, sure.
And it was weird. The humor was like, out of all of the things in this movie that felt really like, sort of, Disney didn't do this. This is Disney just let Rian Johnson do whatever the fuck he wanted with this. The humor did feel like, God, Disney made him do this.
Right.
Disney was like, you gotta put this.
See, like I think the one thing involving the Porgs that I like laughed at was the scene, because it wasn't like disruptive. It wasn't in the middle of anything else. It was just kind of there, and it stood by itself. I think the one thing about the Porgs specifically that I was like, okay, well, that's kind of funny, and it's not disruptive, was when Chewie was trying to eat a roast Porg. And there was a Porg, like, looking at him all sad. And he was like, no, fuck off. And then he couldn't eat it. Like, I guess, spoilers, but like I said, that didn't really have anything else to do with the movie. It was just a...
Oh, no, that wasn't...
it was just a cute, funny little scene, you know? And I think that's fine to put a cute, funny little scene in every once in a while.
It did feel a little too constant. I sort of felt it bearing down.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
But yeah. And again, for me, like, I feel like you're with me on this. For all of, like, the legitimate complaints with this movie, like, the humor and, like, all of Finn's side story, all of that stuff, I liked the stuff that was really, really good, Luke, Rey, and Kylo, all of that stuff, so much that I didn't, like, that the stuff that was bad didn't ruin it for me. Again, it's another one of those Maeve situations, like in Westworld. Everyone's like, oh, the fucking Maeve plot ruined the entire show. It was fucking trash. It's like, there's so much else going on.
Who was Maeve?
The final Pam.
Oh, okay. Right.
Long story. I called her that because she's, you know, that made it a little bit more bearable, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best side plot.
It wasn't the best side plot, but
everything else,
yeah, it was
really, really good. So I was willing to forgive it.
And then, like,
trash garbage side plot.
And then, like, back in Star Wars. Oh, whoops! I totally forgot to change the now discussing, but we're not gonna be on.
Yeah.
But Saine does that all the time, so.
We were discussing X3 this whole time.
Back in Star Wars.
Yeah.
You mentioned Finn's side plot. I don't like. Yeah. Like, I recognize that it really had no reason to be there, and it, like, I don't know, like, it was just they were there doing something for the sake of doing something, but I don't think that the events that happened within it, ignoring the fact that they were kind of pointless, I don't think that was, like, unnecessary. It was unnecessary to the plot, but I don't think that it, like, detracted from the movie, because stuff that happened in it was interesting. Like, there were interesting scenes and stuff.
I don't know. I when it was happening, I was like, you know, this is certainly stuff happening. There's stuff going on.
Right, but until after that scene, there was a purpose that they were there for. Like, there was a good reason, but it just
it's not, and that's not the biggest problem. It's that I like, compared to the rest of the movie, everything, not just because it was pointless. Like, that's not my problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with it was that it just wasn't nearly as good. It wasn't nearly as, like, interesting as, like, Rey and Kylo's, like, interpersonal conflict going on, and Luke's, like, giving up the Jedi and all of that. It's like, we have all this interesting stuff over here, and then we have Finn and Rose fuck around in a casino and save the Aminals.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, and it for me it was just really but everything else I loved, to the point that I was okay with Finn and Rose's
weird little side plot, yeah.
Way every once in a while. Like,
yeah, exactly. Overall, I really enjoyed it. And then,
yep.
There's another complaint that Saine addressed. He basically is gonna say that he said the same thing that I'm gonna say. That one character had a plan, like a secret. It was a secret plan that she didn't tell to another character. But that character...
We talked about this last time.
Yeah. That character that she did... Everybody else knew her plan. She told her plan to other people. That character was not in a position where he deserved to know her plan because of what had already happened in the movie. That was why she didn't tell him, and because we were seeing most of that from his perspective, we also didn't know about it. So, like, I feel like that was, like, fair for that to have been a secret plan to the audience, because it wasn't a secret plan to most of them.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but it's like, again, the difference between the two plans was, it was either we wait here and hope to God that this crazy, stupid bullshit works, or we abandon ship because they're going to fucking kill all of us. We're gonna blow the fuck up. They're gonna blow us up. We should abandon ship.
Right.
That was the plan that people are like, oh, she should have told them more. The fuck are you talking about? What the fuck do you think is happening? These guys are about to blow up. The fuck do you want them to do? Just stay there? Shit.
Yeah.
They didn't know that there was anything.
And because she was not informed of the plan to stay here and hope this works, she also...
Even then, like, the plan to stay here and hope this works, when she was informed of it, she's like, fuck no, that's dumb.
Right. But if the plan had worked, it would have worked.
Yeah, it would have
like
been
like
great,
if there weren't a couple of plot complications that had happened, the plan would have worked properly. So yeah.
Well, not only that, but like if the plan would have worked, you still could have just abandoned. You guys are in like spaceships. You could have just like abandoned ship to be like, oh hey look, the plan worked. Go work, guys. Let's go. Oh wait, no, hold on. Yeah, actually, that explicitly wouldn't have worked because they had like a window between when they could do it and when they could not.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Fair enough. They couldn't have just abandoned ship because there was this time limit on everything. Still,
right.
It was like this one person's plan of let's get the fuck out of here before we all die, or no, let's wait like 3 seconds. 3 of those seconds they could kill us. And do my plan instead.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. People are looking for reasons to hate this movie. People really hate Luke's thing, and they will tell you that they hate Luke's thing, but they will actively look for other reasons to hate this movie because of the fact that they hated Luke's whole thing.
Right.
And it's like how they destroyed the Jedi on there. It was a fuck the Jedi Order. I've been in the Jedi religion for 30 fucking years. My life hasn't been wasted.
Okay. Let me tell you my connection to Star Wars and the Jedi specifically.
Mm-hmm.
In Star Wars Galaxies, before they pushed out this update where you could start as a Jedi, I went through a quest that took me literally months. And you literally had to study the Jedi teachings and follow them in order to become a Jedi. Oh wow, my stream is way the fuck behind. Okay, you literally had to study the Jedi teachings to become a Jedi. And I was like, this is fucking dumb. But I want to be a sword, I want to have a laser sword. And so, and also KOTOR 1 and 2 are some of my favorite games of all time. And I always was gray in KOTOR 1 and 2 because following the Jedi teachings to a T is fucking dumb.
Well, here's the thing.
The Jedi teachings are dumb.
Jedi teachings are from the prequels.
Yeah.
They were made up by George Lucas in the prequels. He decided that like the Jedi aren't supposed to have sex and all this dumb shit that he did in the prequels.
Yeah, he made them into like religious zealots.
You're gonna watch Empire and like listen to the way that Yoda talks about the Force. Like there isn't a good light side or a dark side. There is the Force.
Right.
And there are people who misuse the Force and are guided to like doing bad things with the Force. The Force is just an energy, and the Jedi are the people who study and like use the Force as like magic, and it's not
for
like
good
this fucking
usually.
Yeah. They're samurai, not fucking monks.
Right.
It's so weird.
Yeah, but
George, why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like,
and this was like sort of Rian Johnson trying to get away from that.
I could see it.
He wanted to do his own Star Wars. Like he has like a trilogy that he's doing on his own that Disney has just given him.
Right. Exactly. And I don't think that it's totally unreasonable to make Jedi into like the Jedi teachings into a religion, but what it was just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah.
Okay. You think we should go to break, or is there another thing that you want to say?
I think that's about it. Let's cut it to break before we go into some news.
Okie dokie. How long you want to be gone for?
Let's say 15, because I got a couple of things I gotta take care of.
Okie dokie. We'll see you in about 15 minutes, guys.
Okay. I don't actually have my intermission image set up, so I'm just gonna put up the intermission here. When are we returning? And we're back from our break. About 30 seconds early. Sorry to all those people who are still up and we're running around there.
There's a motherfucker out there like, oh, son of a bitch! Just busts through the door like, God damn it! Started early. This is my fault.
Yep. It's pretty much all my fault. Let's move on to some news, shall we? We'll start out with gaming news, and then we have a little bit of movie news that Thel will cover, because what the fuck is a movie?
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
So our
So
first
you want
story
to get
here
started?
is Mad Catz returns from the dead. Now I
Tried
remember
to kill it.
they went bankrupt, didn't they? Yeah. Um. So let's see. I really don't know what more to say about this. They announced that they were returning to the gaming market. They make shitty controllers, decent fight sticks, I guess. I don't know. I don't know anything about fight sticks, so all a fight stick
People
is
would
to
probably disagree with that, more or less. I would assume. I would just based on principle, I would assume people disagree with
I
that.
don't think fight sticks really need to be that hard. I saw a dude make a fight stick out of a fucking pizza box,
Fair enough. Yeah.
so they probably make workable fight sticks.
Unless they just add a bunch of bullshit to the fight sticks, which I would assume, because that's their mission statement. Take what works and add a bunch of bullshit to it. You ever seen the rat? You seen that fucking mouse?
No.
You ever seen that horrible abomination?
No, it sounds awful though. But yeah, like I don't know. When I used like people were so happy when they went bankrupt, and you know I was always the guy who, when I was at a friend's house, got the Mad Catz controller, and like I never really had that.
So you were a little bit
No, I never. What I'm gonna say is I never really had that big a problem with them. Like I don't know, it's weird. Like they always functioned properly for me, and yeah, there was a turbo button, but it's like what does this do? Oh, I don't know. Okay, I just won't press the turbo button. Like it's just weird. Like maybe with extended use they broke easily, stuff like that. But I never used them for an extended amount of times because I've always used first party controllers. So
fair enough.
I don't know. Like good for them for getting out of bankruptcy, or at least making a workable making a workable company while still in bankruptcy, because bankruptcy doesn't necessarily mean your company's out of business.
Yeah.
Just means you don't pay taxes anymore.
Yeah.
To put it extraordinarily simply.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's all. I feel like that's all there really is to say about that. You know, Thel, you go ahead and introduce this next news story, because I don't even know if this qualifies as news.
Well, okay, so I feel like this does qualify as news because it sort of it definitely has blown up, and I feel like if we're gonna talk about the gaming awards, we should talk about the shit that's actually happening in fucking gaming. Like it's like we got the gaming awards, which are this
I honestly don't know if this even counts as a game.
Well, here's the thing. You got the gaming awards, which are this big sort of like award show that everyone's going off about, and it's like all of this stuff. But as far as like the small ground level stuff, this is what's going on. So, in VR chats, there is very similar to something like Goon Squad. The Ugandan Knuckles Army has been running amok throughout the entire game, with multiple worlds of the game. Yeah. So, what this is a bunch of people running around quoting Who Killed Captain Alex, and pretend and having their avatars be that sort of squished Knuckles. It's a legitimate fascinating.
More specifically,
yeah?
To describe it in a much dumber way, it's a bunch of squished Knuckles running around saying, "Do you know the way?
Yes.
You do not know the way. Why are you running?"
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Quoting Who Killed Captain Alex.
Is that the one that other meme is from?
Oh.
I'm the captain now?
No. Who Killed Captain Alex was a Hollywood movie. Legitimately, that movie was made in Uganda by the studio that calls themselves Hollywood, because they named their town Hollywood because they love movies and decided they wanted to make their own movie, and they did. And of course it's terrible, but it's beautiful that they're doing it, and I'm so happy for them, and I don't think anyone will disagree. It's not like it's boring to watch. It's fun as hell.
Right.
Yeah. I'm super and so these guys are running around quoting this movie, and harassing other players. Not like they're not like hazing other players. They're not being horribly annoying.
Yeah, they're not hazing. It's more like almost comparable to Ralph from Second Life, where you just made this horrible troll abomination and stood there and watched people ERP, and they'd be like, "Ralph, go away," and you'd be like, "No."
Well, the difference between Ralph from Second Life and this is everyone seems to love them.
Everyone seems to love them. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so there are these little gremlins who run around and pretend they're Ugandans and have Knuckles avatars that everyone loves, and they run around and they talk to people who are just trying to have a good time. It's great. This is the happiest story we've ever. There's no downside to this.
See, VR chat seems really fun, but also. And I kind of want to stream it. I want to make a video on it. But also, why would you watch somebody stream VR chat when you could just play VR chat and have the exact same experience? Like the funny parts of VR chat.
Antisocial and don't want to talk to.
Oh, that's kind of dumb. But even then, you could just walk around with a tiny avatar and not get. And just watch other people be funny, right? Which is exactly what you're doing if you're watching somebody stream it.
Well, here's the thing. When you're watching someone stream it, right, you know the person who is streaming it is going to be funny. Because you've watched their stream for a long time, you think that you get a bunch of laughs out of them, you like their stuff, so you want to watch this person go around the VR chat and be funny. These people, they don't know if they're going to be funny or they're going to run into a situation that's funny, because, honestly, funny stuff happens sometimes. This is the kind of game where, I haven't played it, but I assume, this is the kind of game where you go around and it's like, it's very emergent, but it emerges every once in a while. It's like Space Station 13.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, they don't know that everything's going to be funny, because you kind of have to make the funny. And but if you make the funny, people will play along, and then the more funny will be made.
Like the donkey video. Oh, it's fucking Garfield, get him!
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody plays along, and it's great.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. I also want to do a video on VR chat, but I have a video coming up next that you guys are going to be real excited. I'll tell you about it later.
Kind of like VR chat.
Kind of like it, yeah. Except you can't voice chat in that game, which is a fucking tragedy. Really, it is. I'm going to let you introduce this next one, because I played a lot of Left 4 Dead, but I feel like you played a lot more than I did, even. So, go ahead.
Jim French, Left 4 Dead's Bill, the voice actor, of course, dies at age 89.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Yeah. Like I could have some insightful comments, but I mean,
you know,
that sucks. He's dead.
Yeah.
It's just like what happened in Left 4 Dead.
Yeah. Well, maybe we shouldn't say that, but yes, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. He was a great voice actor. Bill is everybody's favorite character.
Oh yeah.
So it sucks.
Like, in Left 4 Dead 2, everyone wants to play as Coach. Left 4 Dead 1, everyone wanted to play as Bill.
I always played as Francis because I thought he was funny.
Oh, okay.
Or Zoe, because my friends are like, it's weird that you're playing as a girl, dude. Back when Left 4 Dead came out. And, and I'm like, haha.
Joke's on them.
Joke's on them. Zoe's kind of cool, actually.
Joke's on them. I'm the one with the titties now.
Yeah,
I win.
I played a lot of Left 4 Dead, so this is pretty, like, no. I didn't play a lot of Left 4 Dead 2, but when Left 4 Dead was out, that was my shit. And so I'm really disappointed to hear this, but he died at age 89, what I can assume is old age.
Of old, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't say he died of anything, so I assume his old age. So it's not like he died tragically. He just passed away, as happens with voice actors and humans. So, rest in peace, Jim French.
Yeah.
Most gamers will remember you as Bill, and that's not really a bad thing.
Yeah, he definitely did great. There's no denying that.
So, moving along, why don't you introduce the next news story? Because I'm sure you're really hyped for this.
Okay. like I said, when I was talking about X3, right? Like I said when I was talking about X3, I have always been looking for a super big perfect space game that I can call home. I would prefer that it be online. I've always wanted to play like Eve, but I was always like put off because subscription fee. I don't want to pay money for normal games. So like I only buy like games that like I think that I'm either gonna make a video out of
Well, Eve
or that
is free to play, and in the amount of free to play content that you like, the subscription lets you go more places, right? Basically,
yeah.
like there's no hard lock on places you can go, but you can only get so good. So
Yeah.
So and like you can't fly the bigger ships and stuff, but within the free to play version of Eve, you can make enough money easily to buy a Plex, which gives you 30 days of subscription. And if you've gotten to the point where you can buy a 30-day subscription with in-game money without the subscription, then it'll be really easy to make that amount in 30 days with the subscription. So
Okay. So yeah, maybe I will give it a try. But like the thing is, I never got into Eve like
right.
because of that, and it only went free to play within like the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah, but on the horizon has always been Star Citizen. This is the game that I've always wanted. Because here's the thing, I was actually really hyped for X Rebirth when it came out. Because when it came out, it was like, holy fucking shit! You can get out of the spaceship and go onto the stations, and well, they look pretty empty, but you can go onto them, and like there's cities and stuff. Oh my god! Holy shit!
There's so much
Oh
stuff
my
to do.
god!
You can get out of your
so
ship and
cool.
then shoot
You
dudes
can-
with a gun.
Yeah, you couldn't do that in X Rebirth. You can do that in Star Citizen.
Oh yeah.
Star Citizen is everything I've ever wanted out of a space sim, and it just got its 3.0 release. I don't know when the hell I'm gonna pick this up, but at some point I'm gonna be picking up and playing the alpha.
The only thing that really interests me in a spaceship, in a space sim, is multiplayer ships.
Which Star Citizen started with.
Yeah, I like to be able to dock onto somebody's ship and be the gunner. But when you really get into it, I like to be able to walk around the fucking ship while somebody's flying it, go to a different tactics console, stuff like that. Like another game that's similar, that's VR only, unfortunately, is Star Trek Bridge Crew. That's one that like looks fucking just so dope. It looks dope as shit because you can just man these different tactical stations and stuff. It's so cool. And it's probably because I grew up with a lot of Star Trek, and even more recently I straight up watched The Next Generation from start to finish. But being on like a big spaceship where you can just do stuff on the spaceship instead of just directly controlling the spaceship like a lot of space sims do is the most appealing thing to me, especially about Star Citizen, because that was like one of the big selling points when they were talking about it before they even had a workable alpha. So I'm really also hyped for Star Citizen.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I'm afraid I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to spend like a ton of like I'm gonna have to spend you know, Elite Dangerous hours getting to the point where I can get that ship that we can do that in.
But you like doing that.
Yeah.
So you can do that, and then I could just get on your ship and leech off your money.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, the thing is, what this adds is basically all of the stuff that Elite Dangerous already has. You get in the base game. I have not played Elite Dangerous Horizon. In the base game, there's about 20 distinct missions, which is about as many as Elite Dangerous has, honestly. Currently in the Alpha 3.0, there are 24, I think, planets you can land on, or moons, that all have like little stations that you can land on and missions you can take from those places. I think they added like a entire like city planet. I remember seeing like a trailer for that. Maybe that hasn't come out yet. I don't know. Again, I haven't touched on this. I've only just read the patch notes. There are a bunch of AI stuff that you can get. It's a bunch of like commodities and stuff that they added. tons and tons and tons of stuff. It's great. They did it. They finally made their alpha a game. I mean, when this game comes out, I am incredibly excited for it and just cannot wait to join this massive, massive world that they have promised us, assuming it comes out. And it's not like they haven't been making, like, steady progress as they've gone along. Yeah. Like, this update is showing that they're making progress. They got a big ass game that they're trying to work on, and they're trying to get there. A lot of people are complaining, yeah, it's not exactly, we should have been playing the game for 2 years already, fully completed. But it's like, this shit takes time, right. And they've been going through. But I mean, it's like people said the same thing about Starbound, and that came out and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And then it never updated, and people hated it simply for never updating, even when it was a complete game. But
yeah, not only that, but that's actually entirely wrong. It's straight up dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. People just dumb. People dumb.
Yeah. People dumb. Yes. So, yeah. Star Citizen. It's looking. It's gonna get there. It's at least part of a game now. I'm excited. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this bitch at some point. We're gonna go through it. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited for Star Citizen. I'm excited for its full game, and I'm also excited for Squadron 42, which is the single player like campaign Star Citizen thing.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, which was like delayed. Is maybe coming out this year, maybe not. It was originally set to come out like 2017. In fact, they had like going to be released in 2017 on the Squadron 42 webpage, literally until like the last 3 months of 2017. So, I mean, they got like an hour of like footage with Mark Hamill and stuff. They got like a bunch of stuff in it. So hopefully it's right around the corner. But then again, I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
That is Star Citizen. I'm excited. I want to play it. Cannot wait. I've been hankering for a new space game, probably mostly because this just came out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is the gaming news.
Yeah.
So let's move into movie news.
So a little bit of movie stuff. You said that we wouldn't have anything. You wouldn't have anything to talk about. That is entirely fucking wrong, because our first story is Jordan Peele has finally been able to revive the Twilight Zone. I
love the Twilight Zone, and I love Jordan Peele. Both of those things are great.
Yeah, basically. Jordan Peele's the guy who directed Get Out this year.
Right.
Which was...
He's also one of the writers for Key and Peele. He's that man. He's Peele from Key and Peele. Key and Peele. Keenan and Peele. Keenan Kellen. Yeah, Keenan. He's one of the people on Keenan and Kel, or something.
He's one of the writers for all that. He was on the Amanda Show.
Was he actually one of the writers for all that?
No,
I
don't think so.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. He directed Get Out this year, and that was another big claim to fame he had. And Get Out was as far as like the tone and the pacing and all of that for Get Out, if that is any indication of what we have to expect from this new Twilight Zone, that's a good goddamn sign. That's a good goddamn sign. If anyone was going to revive it, I feel like he would be a very good choice. I can't really think of anyone who like would or could.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Jonathan Nolan, who's and the lady he worked with on Westworld, but it's like that guy like wants to tell like these big stories, like these long stories, whereas Twilight Zones were always just like a look into one world, one
short little story,
concise story, yeah. And I feel like Jordan Peele would be the best to do that.
Yeah,
because he's proven himself very good at telling very short, concise, and sometimes really terrifying stories. I agree. I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, no, it's like
we talked about this.
It's kind of weird that this news comes up now, because I've been hearing all this stuff about Black Mirror, and I'm like, that just, from everything I've heard about Black Mirror, it sounds a little bit like a modernized Twilight Zone. Like, it has more focus on technology and stuff, but it's a bunch of these like what if scenarios about scary or just peculiar stuff that could happen if this technology existed, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny because I was like, maybe Black Mirror is just kind of a modern answer to the Twilight Zone. But no, now we're getting a modern Twilight Zone. So that's really, that's awesome.
And again, like Star Trek, I feel like Twilight Zone, a lot of shows that came out in the 60s that were like really, really good, shows that were just like, okay, this is is an important show that talks about a lot of stuff. A lot of shows that came out in the 60s, we have like a lot of social stuff going on right now, just in general. I feel like now is a great time to bring like the 60s sci-fi back.
Exactly.
I feel like Star Trek took a little bit of the fucking wrong direction for that.
Yeah.
Being like an action show and not being like just as this the Star Trek.
Star Trek, like at its time, Star Trek and the Next Generation more particularly. The Next Generation. Okay, I think it's pretty obvious at this point. Next Generation is my favorite iteration of Star Trek, which I don't think is an unpopular opinion. But I think that a lot of the things that they covered in Star Trek was just like so far ahead of its time. Like not even like this is kind of ahead of its time. Like it's presenting some progressive ideas, but I mean like there was an episode of Star Trek that basically was about trans people, and it was in what the 70s or 80s, the Next Generation.
Oh, no. Those were 80s and 90s.
80s and 90s, yeah.
The trans thing has been definitely going on since, like...
Right, but, like, what... Can you think of any other show that did an episode that was dedicated to it, and more importantly, dedicated it to it so well and not... And like respectfully, I guess?
Yeah.
In the end of that episode, it worked out, like, it worked out poorly. Like the person was like, look, I've been rehabilitated and I don't have those thoughts anymore, and Riker was like, wow, that's fucked up.
Yeah, but
there's nothing they could do because he prime directed.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but then there was like the episode about on my planet, if you get over a certain age, then,
once you get old enough, you're just put to death. Yeah, that was another thing.
Deanna Troy's mom got like really, really pissed off about that, and it was like this huge fighting point between like this guy's daughter and Deanna Troy's mom. It was like, how the fuck dare you like. Yeah, you can't
just
doing this.
You can't just kill people. Yeah,
but
that was their culture, and everybody in the culture accepted it.
That's what I'm saying. Like when she came in and said like that this is bad. Like the guy's daughter was completely pissed off. How can you deny him of his death? How can you
exactly.
Keep him from doing this?
So it wasn't black and white. Like Is it bad to kill people? Yes, but if you have lived your entire life knowing that when you turn 60 you're going to be put to death and that's a good thing, like is that really is it really bad to put you to death? Like you know it's coming, like you accept it, it's everything, it's the same, it's not black and white. And I don't know, we're getting a little off of the Twilight Zone here too, because Twilight Zone on the other hand was like, they're just good stories. Like there's some things that are like really thought-provoking, but a lot of it is just like really good stories. Like this asshole is an asshole and he gets his comeuppance, or this is a big twist. Like there's an episode of the Twilight Zone where a guy acquires a car that makes you incapable of lying if you are the owner of the car, and he's a car salesman. So he has to sell it to a politician, and everything like normally you're sitting there watching the Twilight Zone, you're like, okay, this is America, and it's like, oh, this candidate's gonna buy the car, yeah, I'll sell it to him, that'll be great, but we have to tell the truth and blah 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 blah, this and that and the other thing. And then it turns out he was fucking whoever that guy was that released all of those Russian military secrets, or Russian government secrets and stuff. And it was because he bought the fucking car and couldn't not release them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wait a second, this was all in Russia? I thought this was taking place in America.
That did take place in America.
Did it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. but yeah, it was yeah, it was, and yeah, it was like that, and then there are multiple episodes where the humans were the aliens the whole time.
Or there's an
It's
episode where it's just like just a cool fun episode. Like there was an episode where these people got a robot nanny, and she
I was literally just about to talk about
robot grandma.
Yeah.
That's it, and she was just totally human. And then like one little girl was
One
like,
of the little girl really hated her because it's like she was really pissed off that her mom like left her, even though like
her mom died, and she was upset because she was a little girl and she didn't quite understand it. And so it was like kind of a thought-provoking episode, but at the same time it was just like this. It was like, wow, look at how great this robot grandma is. And then like they go off to college and they go,
like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to move
she's
on
like,
now.
well, I'm going back to the robot grandma facility to. This is literally what she said. We're not like, we're not making this up. She literally says, I'm gonna go put my brain in the robot grandma computer and share my thoughts with all the other robot grandmas.
Yeah.
And the goal eventually here is we can become human by aggregating all of these experiences. And they're like, oh, grandma, you've always been human to us.
It was just this nice little episode.
And it was just this cute thing about a robot grandma, and nothing went wrong.
Yeah, and it was like the other episode about the guy who dies with his dog, and the dog keeps him from going to hell. And
he's like, hey, I'm Saint Peter. Here's heaven, but that hound dog can't come in here. And the dog's like,
I don't give a crap.
And he's like, well,
I'm gonna walk down the eternity road.
Yeah, he's like, well,
shit. My hound dog, it ain't heaven without my hound dog.
Exactly. He's like, it ain't heaven if my good old
Saint Peter. He was Satan.
Oh,
well,
so you're Saint Peter then? Yeah, I am Saint Peter. You want to come to heaven? Can I bring my hound dog? You sure can, my friend. Exactly. And then he goes to heaven, and it's just neat. And like
Twilight Zone is great.
Twilight Zone's fantastic. I'm really excited for more, and I think that Jordan Peele can handle it really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Next news up. The big thing that happened in movies that you probably heard of, Golden Globes. The Golden Globes happened. People won Golden Globes.
Yay!
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of big Three Billboards won a lot of stuff. Which is good. I like Three Billboards. I'm glad that Sam Rockwell won something in Golden Globes. But probably the best thing to come out of the Golden Globes, and pretty much everyone agrees, the very best thing to come out of Golden Globes is that Guillermo del Toro, after fucking 25 goddamn years of making fucking movies, won Best Director at the Golden Globes. This man fucking deserves it. I don't think anyone doesn't like Guillermo del Toro. I mean, like, generally.
And next up, Guillermo del Toro gives the award directly to Hideo Kojima himself at the Golden Globe Movie Awards.
So yeah, he gave a really impassioned speech, and they tried to play him off, and he asked them not to, and they stopped. They tried to play him off because Hollywood hates Guillermo del Toro for some reason, because they're all horrible, horrible people. I'm glad Hollywood is going to die. It was beautiful. He talked about all the time that he had spent making all of these movies and how monsters really affected him. And I have this very personal love for Guillermo del Toro. And let me explain this. When I was in like 5th grade, right? When I was in 5th grade, I had this VHS tape of like this monster movie marathon that happened at some fucking point in time. It was like I don't know if it was a monster movie marathon, but it was like this fucking weird documentary thing about like all of these monster movies that came with I had Aliens taped on a VHS tape, and I fucking loved Aliens. I watched it so much when I was a kid. There was this huge thing where I was probably introduced to just about the majority of the horror movies that I know now. Like, you know, I saw like a little bit of stuff about like The Thing. Like, you know, my dad had some The Thing figurines. I was like, there's no way the things in that movie look like that. And then I saw like the images from this little like documentary thing, and it was like, oh shit, they actually do. That's cool as hell. I need to see this movie.
Right.
You know, it's fucking 10-year-old me was just enthralled with this stuff. Guillermo del Toro, this was like right when he had finished Hellboy. Was talking about some of his earlier movies, like Kronos and stuff like that. It was talking about like how personal they were to him, and there was a story that he told that stuck with me. And I remember seeing this for the first time when I watched like Aliens live on TV, watching this and fucking recording this. He told this story that I will never ever forget at any point in time. When Guillermo del Toro was a child, he was terrified, like a lot of children are, of the monsters under his bed and the monsters in his closet and everything. So he got up from his bed one day, ran down the stairs, and went to his grandma. And he said to his grandma, "Grandma, the monsters are under my bed. They said they're gonna eat my mom and dad. They said they were gonna eat you." And his grandma's just said, "All right, well, listen here. Here's what you have to do. What you have to do is, instead of being afraid of the monsters, what you should do is you should make friends with the monsters. Then they won't be monsters anymore. Then they'll just be your friends." So he went back upstairs and said, "Okay, monsters, listen. I will be friends with you so long as you don't eat my mom and dad. If you don't eat my mom and dad, then I'll be friends with you for the rest of my life." And he said, "And ever since then, I've just been friends with the monsters, and they've been friends with me. And so I make movies about monsters." And, I mean, that's just stuck with me and will stick with me for the rest of my life. I love this beautiful man. I have always loved this beautiful man. I'm so happy he's getting back into movies. There was this huge gap between, like, Hellboy 2 and Pacific Rim, where he did nothing. You know, he lived a Guillermo del Toro-less life. And I, like, followed his career because he had, like, all of these plans of movies that he was going to do. He was going to, like, make, you know, Hellboy 3. He was going to do a Frankenstein movie. He was going to do In the Mountains of Madness. For the longest time, he has been like, I want to do In the Mountains of Madness. And something has gotten in his way. A lot of people are saying, like, you know, he has all of these ideas and he's just, you know, been scrapped them. But it always feels like it's been, like, the studios that have just sort of gotten in the way. He was going to do The Hobbit, too. Like, it wasn't going to be Peter Jackson that did The Hobbit. It was to the point where Warner Brothers kicked him off and got Peter Jackson to do The Hobbit instead. And that's part of the reason why the Hobbit movies were such a mess. Because they went through these directors. And now he's finally back. And now not only is he finally back, but he's working outside of the studios. Like, he did Crimson Peak, I think, with the studio. But,
nice.
After that, now he did Shape of Water, which is sort of a smaller movie. It got released in a lot of theaters, and you can get released in a lot of theaters with, like, A24 and stuff. And you know what? I'm happy for him. This man needs to work with, like, Netflix. That's what this man needs to do. He should not be working in the big studios that fucking hate him for no goddamn reason. I am excited.
What? Why? Why do they hate Guillermo del Toro so much?
I don't know, because his stuff is weird and it doesn't make them a fuck ton of money.
How does it not make them a fuck ton of money? It does, though. Everybody loves...
It does not. His movies have not, like, made the studios a fuck ton of money.
Oh.
His movies are risks. Everyone loves Guillermo del Toro who know about him, but you gotta remember, general audiences, they don't know nothing. They don't know nothing. Like, they won't go see a Guillermo del Toro film because they've never heard of him. They don't know what any of this is. It looks weird to them, and they don't want to go see it. They would rather go see, specifically, Grown Ups 2 than outgrow Pacific Rim. And you can hear me going absolutely fucking crazy about Pacific Rim 2 on the podcast. I've done nothing but talk about how excited I am for Pacific Rim 2. Now that Guillermo del Toro has nothing to do with it, I don't give a shit. I love the first movie. I really did. I love that movie more than I should have.
I want to see it, but I don't know, like...
I've seen it.
Pacific Rim 2.
I
want to see Pacific Rim 2 because I like the first one, but like you said, like, I really... Like, I'm not the kind of person who usually does pay attention to the directors, but I really feel like Guillermo del Toro's hand in Pacific Rim was, like, one of the things that made the movie. Like, yeah, it was cool to watch big robots punch monsters, but, like, I could do that with any old movie. Pacific Rim just had great everything.
Pacific Rim was a love letter to the kaiju movies he loved as a kid. Like, he watched in, like, the theaters. He told this story in, like, interviews. Like, legitimately, Guillermo del Toro is the filmmaker that I have followed through, like, interviews and stuff more than any other filmmaker.
Right.
He talked about in an interview, I want to grow up to be this man. He talked in an interview about, like, how he'd go to these theaters, these really dinky Mexican theaters where he watched, big kaiju movies. He called them, like theaters where you have to bring a rock to crush the rats that would scurry around. And also there's another Hellboy remake now that the studios have kicked him completely off.
Hellboy is also one of my favorite movies, and Guillermo del Toro not being involved in it, like, why? Just why?
Yeah,
what is the rationale? Everybody loved Hellboy.
The instant that he announced that he was, like, guys, I've been trying to get Pacific Rim 2 to happen, but the studios don't want it, and I don't think it's actually going to happen. It was the same thing with Hellboy. It was like, guys, I've been trying to make Hellboy happen for, like, 200 billion years now,
and they just
don't want it to happen. And then the instant this man leaves, the studio's like, so, let's make Hellboy 3 and Pacific Rim 2! Fuck you, Hollywood. You piece of shit. Go die. Go fucking die.
So,
God damn it.
So I ordered...
Just keep molesting people. It's just fucking leading to your downfall, you piece of shit. A24 is taking over.
I want to say something
up.
totally off topic. Totally off topic. That is, I just find really funny. I ordered a 2-liter of Cherry Coke from Domino's, but apparently they don't have 2 liters, so they sent me like 4 20-ounce bottles.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Hey, it's customers always right. We don't got 2 liters. Fuck it, let's do the next thing.
I don't know why it was an option on their website if... But okay.
2-liter machine was broke.
2-liter machine broke. We got 2 1-liters though. Yes.
Yeah.
But
really
that's
happy that Guillermo del Toro was able to win Best Director at Golden Globes. I hope that the Oscars reflect. A lot of people want Greta Gerwig to win though, because of the fact that she, Greta Gerwig. One thing that she's the one who directed Lady Bird, which is an incredibly super popular movie that everyone absolutely adores that I still haven't seen yet. I'm actually a lot more interested in watching this movie than I was Greta Gerwig's previous movie that got really popular, Frances Ha, which was to me looked like the king of mumblecore movie. I don't really like mumblecore, honestly. I'm kind of off it. To me, it's like 20-something problems. I got my own goddamn 20-something problems. Fuck you. I don't give a shit. You can go find yourself somewhere else. I'm gonna watch something else. I got now other movies I can watch. It's not my thing.
Exactly.
But Lady Bird does look like a little bit more interesting. It looks like something I might want.
Right.
So yeah, I'm excited for that. I'll watch that. A lot of people want Greta Gerwig to win. I'd be super happy if Del Toro won. I love Del Toro so much. I love this big, beautiful man.
Right.
He deserves all the goddamn everything he can possibly.
I have one more thing before we end here.
All right. Well, we should talk about stuff that we're setting up.
Well, I have one more piece of news. I mean, before we go into that.
Yeah. That's right. You didn't talk about it.
Yeah. So, I believe it's going to be the Battle for Azeroth pre-patch of World of Warcraft. It's like 7.3.5 or something. Who cares about the number? Whatever. It's in the newest PTR patch for World of Warcraft. They have completely overhauled the leveling experience. So except good this time apparently.
Except good this time, yeah.
So what they've done is, first of all, they have made it so that mobs are a lot harder to kill. Meaning, like, not significantly. It's not going to take you 2 or 3 minutes to kill each and every little pull, because that would be ridiculous. But if you pull 2 or 3 things at a time, you might just die if you're mindlessly button mashing, or you might have to use a CC ability, which is good, because that is the core gameplay of World of Warcraft. Pay attention, use your rotation right, use CC if you get overwhelmed, instead of just pulling 40 things and spamming whatever the quickest casting AoE ability is, which is how leveling was.
Yeah, and it's so weird because that's sort of how it felt like in vanilla WoW, and then Cataclysm came and kind of messed a lot of that up. So and it was weird that they did that in Cataclysm. They did like all of the stuff that changes to leveling so that you'd have to like you wouldn't like learn as well how to use all your abilities, and then the dungeons in Cataclysm were like some of the hardest dungeons there were.
They still are. When you're leveling and you get to Cataclysm level, people don't even know how to do those dungeons. Most people recommend when you're in level 70 to 90, just go and do world content because your groups are going to wipe over and over again on those dungeons. And it's true. I've experienced it. Like, even like basic bitch-ass Cataclysm dungeons are some of the hardest dungeons in the game because of the level that you're at and the fact that your people don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. And that's like so weird to me because that's when I dropped off like during Cataclysm. Like, a lot of people did. Like
in-game dungeons are difficult. They have a lot of mechanics you have to pay attention to. They're hard when like a new expansion drops. The dungeons are always difficult, always challenging. They've done a really good job at making raids and dungeons difficult, challenging, and actually needing you to use your brain.
Yeah.
But people by that time are skilled enough to do them. Whereas when you're in the leveling process, people are just so used to using their heirlooms and pulling every mob at once, you just wipe over and over again in Cataclysm. Because people are like, oh shit, wait, now I have to pay attention. What do I do? But when you're at the end game, it's like people are used to paying attention. So Cataclysm is some of the hardest content in the game still.
Yeah.
The other thing they did to the leveling process was so in World of Warcraft Legion, there were like 7 zones, and all of those zones scaled to your level, except for the endgame zone, which was level 110 only. They all scaled to your level, meaning you would deal an appropriate amount of damage for those mobs, and the mobs would deal an appropriate amount of damage to you. It was level scaling all of Guild Wars, and so you still were rewarded for leveling up because you got new abilities and new things you could do, but the level of challenge never really changed, except for like maybe you add a new thing to your rotation, you kill things a little faster, but you were still challenged by all of the world content, and they've retroactively added that to every zone in the game. So if you are it doesn't scale down to you, but if you are in a zone that is lower level than you, it will scale properly, meaning if you're wearing heirloom gear and you get like 45% bonus experience, complete a quest, and then it's like, well, I really want to see what happens in this story, but I'm 6 levels over the quest and it will literally give me 0 experience, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Like, that was always really lame. But now with the levels, the challenge and experience scaling up to you, you can just get experience for doing anything you want.
Yeah.
You don't have to move on to the next zone.
I don't know why it took them so long.
Right. And now they have.
Should have done that.
So,
yeah, now they have. I'm super happy.
I resubbed to WoW for a month or two every single time they release an expansion.
Patch, yeah.
No, every single time they release an expansion.
Yeah,
Not necessarily all the patches. Sometimes, like, if a patch adds a significant amount of stuff that looks cool, I'll do it, but every expansion, I buy the expansion, resub for a month or two, and it's fun. Battle for Azeroth has me really, really excited, because it's kind of going back more to Alliance versus Horde and stuff. I think you've defeated the Burning Legion or whatever. I don't really know the story that's been going on in Legion, but it has me really excited, especially with a lot of the mechanical changes they're doing to the game. Maybe I'll stream some World of Warcraft when that shit comes out. Who knows? It'll be fun.
Yeah. I am also really happy about this. I'm super happy that they had finally done this. This has been a long time coming, Blizzard. I'm glad that you're making your games good.
It's true.
I'm glad that you're finally doing it. You've had some hiccups with Overwatch with some of the balance stuff, but it looks like you're trying to fix that.
Oh yeah, they nerfed Junkrat's concussion mine. Thank God. Finally. After all these years of Junkrat.
Mercy again. We can talk about that a little bit.
It wasn't really a rework. They just made it so that
it
Valkyrie.
Was just a straight nerf.
Yeah.
So,
Valkyrie.
yeah.
Valkyrie's her ult is now makes her move. It doesn't make her move slower, but it is slower than it was before, and it no longer makes her resurrection instant.
Yeah.
Um.
I mean, honestly, a lot of people really hate that, but it's like Mercy with the resurrection is ridiculous. Like resurrection is crazy, and Blizzard is like sort of reacting to resurrection just being insane.
Yeah, making you require a mercy on every team comp, no matter what.
And if you don't have a mercy, you're basically fighting up against the wall. It's kind of crazy, but I'm happy. I'm happy they're doing something.
Right.
I'm happy they haven't left the game to rot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good. So with that, I think that's all the news we have to cover. I mean, we're a little short today, but we've only got two people worth of insight, so that's like a third of our stuff cut out.
Yeah, and also we didn't have very much news at all.
Yeah,
it was mostly just like the Golden Globes happened. I could talk about like all of the entries, but here's the thing: I'm gonna wait for the Oscars. We're gonna have a lot of fun when the Oscars come out.
Well, that'll be exciting for you,
Get
Saine.
fucking ready.
So
what do we have been releasing this week?
Obviously I don't have anything releasing this week because I don't really release much stuff on YouTube. But
I don't have anything releasing this week, but next week I'm going to be putting out a Roblox video.
Oh, that'll be fun. We're also thinking about a VR chat video. That might also be fun. As far as my content, the content that I'll be doing, I'm probably gonna be streaming more XCOM. I don't know how soon this WoW patch is coming to live, but maybe I'll drop $15, play around in WoW for a little while, go through some of the new leveling stuff. That could be fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Do you have anything else?
No.
All right. Well, in that case, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. And the most important thing, I believe, is to stay beautiful.